Super interesting news breaking just now. The NBA is majorly revamping its All-Star Game. They're basically going to do the playground model with 2 player captains alternating to pick their teams. Forget the effect on the actual All-Star Game. I mean, this is amazing in itself, and I hope we can figure out how to televise the entire draft. I want sound effects. I want some sort of Charlie Brown consolation prize for whoever gets picked last. The whole deal. I mean, also, hopefully it will result in a better game because the past few have been sort of tragic. Remember this in New Orleans in February? The 192-182 final? Yeah, looked like more like the score at a rec bowling league than any attempt at pro basketball. It's not that players didn't bother playing defense. It was that they looked as if they'd be actively punished if they tried. The Monday after that game, Players Association President Chris Paul actually called Adam Silver to tell him they needed to make a change. And last month, Chris told me he was in New York to hammer that change out. Michael Jordan, in his role as head of one of the owner committees, was also instrumental. And what they settled on, well, it kind of seems straight out of a Reddit thread. Here are the details. The players will be selected for All-Star Weekend the same way they were last year. So 10 starters, those are going to come from a combination of fan, media, and player voting. And then the coaches select the 14 reserves, again, same as last year. But here is the change. The top 2 players in the fan voting are going to be named the captains, and they will get to draft their teams out of that All-Star player pool. Now, changing the All-Star Game, that's really just the final domino in a series of big alterations the NBA has made this offseason. There have been the new rules to prevent superstars from resting in big national games, draft lottery reform trying to curb tanking, the trade deadline's been moved up, there's even been game flow things like reducing the number of timeouts and adding delay of game penalties. Are all of these new ideas going to pan out perfectly? Probably not. As we've seen in recent years, a butterfly flaps its wings in one place, the wind gusts in another. This is a league that loves to use that phrase, unintended consequences. But I give the NBA a lot of credit for being the most responsive major pro sport that we have. And they're never afraid to try something new. Besides, hey, everything's fair game on the playground. I can't wait. Scotty, do you love this? I love the idea of it. I don't even care how the game turns out.
I think I love the idea of having a change, but no, I don't like this idea.
No?
I feel like the players are already making decisions as to who they want to play with. Mm-hmm. So I don't see this being any different in terms of making the game more competitive.
They're doubling down on this decision by saying maybe who they don't want to play with.
Right, I was going to say, isn't the spectacle of who picks who and who doesn't pick who going to be just as good as the game itself?
I don't know. I just don't think that makes it more competitive.
Right.
You know, I think defensively the game has to get better. You know, I think players have to figure out how to make this game more competitive for our fans.
Remember the old school games? We actually had some games.
Scotty says, get off my lawn.
You know what? The old school games were more competitive. I think we took pride in the East being better than the West and vice versa. But now I don't see that competitive fire anymore.
There's going to be a couple other things involved here. I mean, first off, we don't exactly know how the draft is going to go yet.
Right.
It's going to happen before All-Star Weekend, even though I would love it if everybody actually stood.
I want an actual playground. I want them each on benches on either side. I want them pointing, you.
That might be next year's edition, but it sounds like they're going to have the pick before the draft, well before the All-Star Game. So when we get to All-Star Weekend,
know who's where.
We're going to know who's going. But the thing to watch now, this is going to be the captains are in each conference based on the fan voting. So it's going to be the fans. Last year it was Steph Curry in the West and LeBron in the East. It's been LeBron for the last 5 or 7 years in the East. And so they would get to choose. But with this on the line, maybe the fans would say, what if Kevin Durant is number 1? What if Russell Westbrook's number 1? A lot of intriguing stuff, Rachel.
Right, and the beefs. I mean, come on. If LeBron is a team captain, is he picking Kyrie? Is he not picking Kyrie? How is this going to work?
Absolutely, and then of course you've got what if Durant was pretty close to Steph Curry last year. Durant could easily be, especially as the Finals MVP. Does Durant pick Russell to be on his team? I mean, this is going to be some interesting stuff.
I think the players are not going to be biased to pick the best players. I just want to know.
You do? I think there's going to be beef.
You do? I don't think so. I think they're going to pick the best talent. They
all good
want to
talent.
win. But I think ultimately, does this make the game better? I mean, are you putting enough at stake to make the players play harder?
And that's a good question. And I think the fact that Chris Paul was so instrumental in making these changes, that it was his call to Adam. Now, obviously, I think they were going to talk anyway. Adam Silver made it clear at All-Star last year that it was a problem. But the fact that the players took the first step in saying, hey, we want to do something different, that shows some buy-in to me and a little bit. I think if you're playing with your friends and there's a little bit more at stake there because you picked your teams, maybe guys will go at it a little harder.
It isn't just about past. We're doing a default to talking about beef, but it's also about future. Like what happened. Like, you know, the Warriors have let it leak out there that they're interested in various ways in getting their hands on Paul George. So if Steph Curry or Durant, what if they make Paul George the #1 pick just to start to get working on that? There's a whole thing that's going to happen, Scotty, around the selection. I know you're talking about the game itself. We'll get to the game. I'm focused on the draft. I'm very excited about that.
I almost don't even care now how the game turns out. This draft is
I've never cared how the game turns out.
So much fun.